I say anything, I would like to thank very much my two wonderful mentors, Dr. Wojcik and Dr. Nayar, for leading me here all the way from the start of my career. It is so exciting to be here, and thank you very much for being here also. I also would like to thank Sandy and Dr. Wojcik for arranging this. Thanks continues here for the ASC and for Dr. Kurtic, who has done an exceptional job as a superb leader this year. And this year was hard for all of us. It was a difficult year. It was a challenging year, to say the least. And again, thank you for his leadership, and for anyone who has had a difficult time or lost a loved one during this pandemic, my sympathies goes out to all of you. So if it was the real meeting, what I would be doing here, I would be giving Dr. Curtis a hug and giving him his plaque, as well as a token of our appreciation. But hey, we're living in virtual times now, so that is not quite possible. But I'm going to ask my representative, Dr. Tina Curtis, to give him my hug instead, and our token of appreciation instead too. So Dan, thank you very much for this, being such a good leader during this year. So last year's Dan's theme was family. So I thought I'd start with talking about family and kind of what it means, and this way I'll get to tell you a little bit about myself, a little bit about my family also. So here's our executive board family that worked really hard during that last year too, so kudos to all of them, and I look forward to working with them as the president. And of course my Loyola family, which some of you are here today, and some of you will be watching online later on. And it is such an honor to be a part of this family also. My colleagues, my co-workers that we work with every day are wonderful cytotechnologists that make our job easier, and our residents, our fellows who become our brothers and sisters and grow up to be our colleagues later on. It's truly an honor to be a part of that. And then comes my own family, which some of them are here today. I'm very happy to see that. So let's start from the beginning. Right in the middle is my mother and father. Mom and dad, I'm originally from Turkey, born in Ankara. And my mom is actually one of the country's first pediatric audiologists. And dad is one of the country's first urologic oncologists. They still live in Turkey, so I actually live here with my nuclear family here, where you see my husband and my two daughters. We live in the western suburbs of Chicagoland. Two daughters are in high school. One of them graduates this year. And then I have my wonderful sister, which we'll go a little bit into. She is finishing her PhD. She's one of the only ones in the family who has a lot of degrees. She has a PhD in anthropology, master's in public health and statistics, and she's doing a postdoc now. Next year she'll be looking for a job, so anyone interested? So that brings me a little bit to this year's theme to continue along, and this year's theme is going to be mentorship, innovation, and teamwork. And you might say they're maybe not that related, but they are related, and I'll tie them up for you very nicely, and you'll see why I chose those topics. Starting with mentorship. So we'll go a little bit with you. I'll take you to the past in a time machine. We'll go to year 1991. This is the years I was in medical school, and I was wanting to learn a little bit about pathology. And I went to back then, the chair of pathology at my medical school, Marmara University, and I asked, if I were to go somewhere, maybe in the US, do you know of anyone that I could learn about some pathology? And what she told me, she goes, well, actually, she had rotated with Dr. Naylor, who was an ASC member and back then had been an official person at the ASC. And she said, well, why don't you contact him? So I did. The next day came a fax. Those days we didn't have social media, clearly. We didn't even have email. So it was a fax that came out, very nicely typed, saying, hey, let me know when you're coming, and it would be so nice to have you visit our lab. So I came and studied with him for about a little month, over a month or so. And just looking at how he looked at cytology, how he looked at the cells, how he spoke very eloquently, and he was the gentleman who described Crayola bodies, for goodness sake. So he was just such an infectious enthusiasm he had. So I just looked at him and I'm like, okay, I know what I want to be. I want to be a cytopathologist. So that was back in medical school, which is what brought me actually into pathology and what brought me to the US, because I wanted to be just like him. So truly a wonderful mentor. I finished my residency at University of Michigan, and then I went to Houston to MD Anderson Cancer Center to do my fellowship, the cytopathology fellowship there. And incidentally, Dr. Naylor also is my mentor's mentor, my grand mentor, if you will, because it's Dr. Wojcik's mentor. I remember during residency, at one time I actually came to the Illinois Society of Cytology meeting, and Dr. Wojcik didn't even know me then. I was a resident. She said, well, come on over and stay with us in our house. Remember that? Yeah, so it just goes, these relationships goes way back when, and that was, a testament to, yes, I really want to be a cytopathologist. I want to be in this community. I want to be one of them. So, then I become a fellow, and as you see, we were a rather handful and colorful crowd. After our year, I'm sure my program director, Dr. Starkle, didn't get any more 6-girl fellows, because we were very highly demanding. We always wanted something like a new digital camera and that sort of thing. And these are, sisters in action. And again, thank you for my teachers at MD Anderson for teaching me cytopathology. But when did my relationship with ASC actually start? So I worked with Dr. Naylor, I worked at MD Anderson. This wasn't until the year 2002 that I went to my first ASC meeting, and that was in Salt Lake City. That was the year that Dr. Wilbur became the president. It was inaugurated the president. That was the year that the ASC had the foundation, started the foundation. And the meeting was in Salt Lake City. Just like last year, it was in the Grand Hotel, beautiful hotel. So, but what was happening in the world during that time? Well, euro became the first official currency of the European Union. How about that? The Winter Olympics was held in Salt Lake City. Elmo from Sesame Street actually testified in front of Congress, believe it or not. And Halle Berry made history by becoming the first black woman to win an Academy Award. So that was way back when for my first meeting. And I remember going to that first meeting, enjoying it. I brought a poster, and it was about salivary gland cytology. It was cysts and salivary gland. And I remember learning a lot, but also when time came, there was still the ball. I remember going and dancing and having a blast and thinking, I am so much in my element. This is my society. I belong here. It was just like love at first sight sort of thing. And I'm just so happy that I'm still a part of the ASC. And of course, throughout years, I have had the fortune to be mentored by numerous wonderful individuals. And you've met the two of them, Dr. Wojcik and Dr. Nayar. And I have to single out Dr. Pambuchan here, who's in the audience, who has been an amazing mentor for me. Just a wonderful human being, a wonderful teacher, and just a brilliant diagnostician, and I'm just so lucky to be his mentee. And also here you see Dr. Erozan. He's also my grand mentor. How so? Because Dr. Pambuchan's mentor is Dr. Erozan. And very interestingly, Dr. Erozan also taught my father in medical school in Turkey. So everybody is related. How about that? And of course, we have Dr. Silas Powers and all the team of the ASC past presidents, who are incredible source of knowledge and experience. And boy, am I lucky to be joining those ranks. But that brings us to why mentorship. So I told you my story and how important these mentors were in my life. So it's time to me to give forward, to pay it forward to our incoming fellows, residents, our new generation, our next generation. And so we do need to create a mentorship program to help the new cytopathologists coming down the pipeline, to kind of elevate them to that level so that they can become successful in their endeavors and their career pursuits also. So important. And you saw the brilliant faces there. Some of them were working with us as fellows and residents, and I'm just so proud to be working with them, to be mentoring them. Next is innovation. Steve Jobs says innovation is the ability to see change and opportunity. And this year was truly challenging us to a different level. It was the necessity that created some of the opportunities. So we needed something to happen. We were in a pandemic, we were maybe in a lockdown. We needed some ways to innovate. One of the things we did this year was our educational task force. And we had numerous individuals of the executive board, as well as outside, like Dr. Pambuchan, giving these lectures. And if this slide looks busy to you, it is busy because we were busy. There was a lot of education given to the cytology community, and this was available online via our YouTube site, Cytopath 1951. And if you're not a member of that, or if you're not subscribing to it, please do. Cytopath 1951. 1951 is when ASC was founded, and that's why we have that. So a lot of educational opportunities came into being, and I'd like to thank all the speakers, all the board members for doing a fabulous job with this. We also had 2 panel discussions. One was the very timely COVID-19 panel discussion led by our very own Dr. Pambuchan to see what is happening in our labs, what do we need to do. People who have undergone this, cytotechnologist perspective, cytopathologist perspective. Even we had a psychologist perspective because we are in this kind of difficult times, and that was very important to us. Then we had a panel discussion on the transition to the virtual cytopathology interviews. That is also important because now by ACGME we are all mandated to have virtual interviews. We can't have actual face-to-face interviews. So this is again a learning curve for all of us. And I was lucky to be one of the panelists on that too. And again, thanks to the ASC for putting something on like this. We have had a presence on social media, be it Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. But this year, especially, we had more followers. So for instance, in March, before COVID hit, we had 36 subscribers. After our educational series, this number was above 1,700 subscribers, and it's going up every day, which is also important because now we're raising ASC to a national and international level where we can reach out to more individuals with our educational work. And you could see how many times these were reviewed, or these sessions. These are all bars indicate individual sessions given by the ASC and how many times they were watched over the YouTube site. So it's very commonly watched. And even we use it at Loyola for our resident education, for our fellow education. And we've been lucky to get a lot of thank yous from our cytotechnologists, cytotechnology students, as well as residency or fellowship program directors for this. And not surprisingly, even in a COVID era where everything's kind of closing down and maybe the resources aren't that much, we actually were able to raise our membership level from 2,600 to over 2,700 after the COVID, after our educational task force activities. So again, thank you for people who have volunteered their precious time for this. With the direction of Dr. Pambuchan again, we also did a survey on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the laboratories as well as ourselves. And this was given to cytopathologists around the world, not only ASC, to other individuals too. And we had about 200, over 200 responses. And so I won't go into the details of that, but one of the things we looked at was what was the psychological state of us? How did we do? You know, we always talk about well-being and resilience, but this is a tough time. We all had difficult times. So when we look at these data that we have, it looks like we were about moderately stressed and maybe mildly depressed when we looked at our data. And when compared this to other healthcare workers, this was actually much better than everybody else. So congratulate ourselves. We are resilient folks, and that is really good to have. Okay. And some of the silver linings of the panel, or the survey, I'm sorry, was like it gave them people an opportunity to finish unfinished work, spend more time with the family, it sure did. But also it showed the benefits of strong leadership, and that is also an important point. So what are our goals in terms of innovation? This is only a starting point, and this can only get better. So we intend to do more educational content matter on our YouTube website, and pass this on to the social media also. We are going to have our e-journal club, for instance, has been happening for a number of years now, but we're going to bring that to a social media where we actually do the e-journal club with others. It will be, again, led by Dr. Pambuchan, who will talk about how to critique papers first. We have our Product Innovation Committee, Dr. Nayar is the chair of that, and we hope to come up with ideas to be able to create new ASC branded products and educational content. We also hope to create our own ASC podcast where we can reach individuals for our bulletin, for instance. And also the idea is to help the programs with their educational activities. Still, we are in times of COVID and things are a little bit difficult, so we want to help the cytotechnology schools as well as the cytopathology fellowship programs. And we do want to get the Cell Resource Committee off the ground, updating their website, helping the cytotechnology schools. So that's innovation. Then we move on to teamwork. So in Turkish, there's a saying, one hand does not clap, two hands do. So teamwork. Let's talk about teamwork and how can we team up and how can we come up with some projects about that. So those of you who know me know that I actually like the US women's soccer team, and this is a picture of that. Go team. Love them all. They were champions last time. And one of the former co-captains of the US soccer team is Abby Wambach. And I like Abby Wambach very much, and not only she was actually a very good leader on the ground, on the field, but is also a strong female leader off the field. And she wrote this book, Wolfpack. And in it, she talks about all of us, specifies women, but let's put it in that sense. All of us, say, members of ASC, are wolves. We have visions. We have a bright future. We want to work towards that future. We want to do things. And we want to make sure that not only we are successful, but the whole team is successful. Now, in this book, it goes through rules for success, for leadership, and we'll go through them one by one and see how it applies to all of us. So here's the rule one. Create your own path and don't be afraid to explore. So this is a picture of my two kids crossing the creek. There wasn't really a way to cross the creek, but they found their way to cross to the other side because they were determined to get to the other side. So you have to be determined. You want something, you're going to work towards it. And you're going to create resources, even if you don't have it, to get to that. And you are going to explore. Here's our number two, rule number two. Be grateful what you have and be ambitious. Set yourself strong goals. And here's my sister graduating from PhD in anthropology. So be ambitious. Set yourself higher standards, higher goals. and try to get to that. If you don't set a higher goal, you will never get there, but you have to get that goal. Rule number 3, lead now and from wherever you are. So it's easier to be a leader when you are, say, the president of the society or, say, a committee chair. But what if you aren't? What if you are just a committee member? What can you do? You could still lead from your bench, from your site. You can come up with ideas, how to better things, how to create programs, and then lead from wherever you are. Ms. Yousafzai wasn't a president, but she led from where she is, and look at her, you know, she got the Nobel Peace Prize. Then there's the failure. There's always being afraid. What if I fail? What if I can't do it? Failure is one of the best things that can happen, because if you fail, and then you tell yourself, well, next time I'm not going to fail. I'm going to find ways not to fail, because I'm going to get to the other side of the creek. I am going to get that program done. I am going to write that paper. I'm going to do something for ASC. So you have to be determined to get over the failure. This is also a very important rule for all of us. Next rule is being for each other, to celebrate each other. So, you know, if you work towards something very important and you have succeeded, typically when you have succeeded, you haven't done it all by yourself. If I am the ASC president, I owe it to my mentors. They brought me to this level. You know, if you scored a goal, well, somebody actually threw that ball to you so that you could score the goal. There's always people around you who helped you get to where you are, so thank everybody, whoever's around you. Because the more you cherish that and you thank everyone, the more successful you will become. Next is believing in yourself and taking charge. So Wonder Woman is one of my favorite superheroes. In fact, she is my favorite superhero. So you have to believe in yourself that you want to do something. You want to accomplish it. Of course, when you lead, wherever you are, you're leading from, you have to lead with humanity. You have to be empathetic and understand other individuals, and create a safe environment for everyone. And you also cultivate leaders. So you're a committee chair, and if, you know, members, say a cytotechnologist or a cytotechnology student or a resident opens their mouth to say something, let them say something. Maybe they have a grand idea that you're going to run with. So cultivate leaders and you know, embrace humanity and difference. And of course, the last is find your own pack. Wherever you are, you're not alone. Be it your work family, your actual family, your ASC family, you do have a pack. Every wolf has a pack, and so do we all. So these are important things. So what can you do if you're listening to this, and if you're not a member of a committee? Well, you can fill out the form to volunteer to become a committee member. Think about how you can make the ASC better. Do you have any ideas about the ASC? Bring that up. You can always email me, send me a text, or call me up, or Ms. Jenkins up at the ASC. Propose ideas, spearhead a project. So there's different things at every level that we all can do. What are the plans for this coming year? And we talked a little bit about them, and these are a little bit more. In terms of teamwork, we're going to collaborate with other societies, such as the CAP, College of American Pathologists, the United States and Canadian Academy of Pathologists, ASCT, and so forth, for all the issues that are facing us. And we want to be, and we will be at the table, and embrace changes that are coming our way. New for this year, we are going to have a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee, which will address the ways that this will be integrated into the mission of the ASC, and will ensure diversity, equity, and inclusion in all membership services at, you know, all levels. Another thing I wanted to do is I asked all the committees to come up with an initiative with either mentorship or innovation or education, and these ideas will be vetted by a subcommittee to see which one we can run with or which one we have the resources to go along with. And also I asked these committees, the following committees here, for them to give a YouTube talk, and it could be about, say, the membership committee having an open house, or it could be the foundation board interviewing the people that we have given advocacy grants to, and so forth. So it will be a transparent society, so everything that happens, everybody will be able to see, we hope, and understand what are the thought processes behind it. I'm also going to ask the membership committee to survey the membership to identify any possible initiatives. We've done this in the past. I was the membership committee chair at some point. We've done this. So we want to do this again with the new era. Is there anything else that we can possibly provide the membership? Nomination. I would like the nomination to be a transparent process, to review and revise the scoring system for the nomination, and to be inclusive of all individuals of all backgrounds. And also I wanted them to give these sessions on YouTube channel too. There's a couple of other things. Again, this is the International System of Reporting Infusion Cytology, and we have some authors in the audience here too. The book is, I believe, now completed and sent to Springer for publication, so congratulations to the editors and authors. And we have our Paris system, which is now underway. Now the authors are working on their individual chapters, and I will be working on my chapter too. We hope that the book will be out hopefully within a year or so. In this meeting, we have or will have the JASC panel on the update on the Paris system. And the chapters are going to be due December 1st. And something new for everyone, now the Milan system is starting to work on their edition, the 2.0 edition, and their goal is to get published by 2022. So there's a lot of activity, academic activity in terms of our systems, categorization systems, and ASC members are at work. I also created liaisons for each committee and made sure that they're in the roster of the committee members for the different committees. These will be the individuals who will be the direct liaison between the executive board and the committees, and they will pass the information back and forth. And here are the committee chairs that are incoming: Foundation Board, Budget and Finance, Cytotechnology. And then we have Ethics and Conduct, Membership, and Nominating Committee. We have Scientific Program, Social Media and Ambassador Committee, the Awards Committee, the Cell Resource Committee, which is a subgroup under the CPRC. And we have the Case Study. We have Clinical Practice, Cyto E-Conference, Cytopathology Program Directors, Continuing Education. And then we have e-journal, government affairs, President's Advisory, product innovation, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And by the way, all these committees also have vice chairs to make sure that the leaders are successful. Our next meeting will be in Henderson, Nevada. Hopefully, by that time, things will be a little bit different, and we will actually be able to have a face-to-face meeting. But if not, we'll see how this virtual thing works, and that would be successful too. So thank you all for coming, and thank you for all the video watchers again for your coming too. Thank you. Now, before I close the meeting, so I'm officially going to ask if there is a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Yes. No. And Dr. Pamuchan says there's a motion. Is there a second? Is there a second? Second. Dr. Nayar says second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right. Thank you. With that, I adjourn the meeting.